Today, I'm going to walk you through a typical developer day. Now, I know there's different types of companies, but in this video, there's going to be some main concepts that most likely you're going to see in all forms of work you do as a developer, whether it's for a company or a startup or freelance. Similar work patterns are going to be seen, and I want to take you through that because I'm assuming you're taking this course because you want to become a developer or you want to upgrade your skills, and it's important to know what a current workflow is and also what to expect to decide if this is for you or not. So let's get started. It's 9 a.m. now, and as you can see, I've created this great diagram of myself coming into work. It's 9 a.m. and I have here what I call a Trello board. And I can show you right over here what it is. Usually when you work on big projects, in order to stay organized, people have this, what they call Kanban style, where there's a list of things to do, what people are working on, and then there's a done list. So usually in the morning, you come in and the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that any changes that have been made while you were at home or at night, maybe you have teams that are overseas that have worked while you're sleeping. Well, as you know, we want to always go to Git, check out master. And you should know how this works by now. If not, make sure you check out the previous section. I would do something like git pull to make sure that everything is up to date. All right, and now I have everything up to date. You also want to see if there's anything that maybe you're still working on and hasn't been resolved. If you remember from previous videos, I have a couple of pull requests, and one of the ones was the conflict one. And we remember that, well, this branch that I was working on, Marcy told me that we don't really need that change, so there's no files changed. I can clean up what I've been working on by just closing my pull requests. I'm going to delete this branch so that now going back to my workflow, I'll just have master that I'm working on. Everything is up to date. All right, so pretty good. Maybe I'll move this conflict branch that I was working on. I'll just move it to done and say that, you know, I'm done with it, so the team knows that I am no longer working on this branch. 9 a.m. is done, and 10 a.m. rolls around, and I have over here, usually what happens is something called a stand-up, where team members and everybody that's involved in a project or whatever you're working on meets to give everybody's updates. And usually everybody stands around, and you see over here that there's an SM that is usually a scrum master or a manager or a director that usually organizes the meeting and takes the lead. And what we all do is just say, hey, this is what we did yesterday. This is what we're going to do today. Or maybe if you're blocked on something and you're having an issue, maybe you can ask some team members. And usually in this meeting, you also have this scary looking person, which is actually the PO, which is the product owner. So that is anybody that, it could be a client that has vested interest, that is money on the line for this project to be built. It could be your CEO. It could be whoever is owning the product, whoever wants to make sure that the product gets finished and gets finished on time, but is also built properly. That's the product owner. So you have a quick stand-up meeting, and usually around 10:30, you'll go back to work. You'll be working on something like bugs or new features, and the way you do that is, well, you go back to a board like this and see what's on the to-do list, and usually they're all small chunks, and, you know, let's say I want to update the README, I'll drag that in here and to let everybody know that I am working on the updating the README. You know, if I'm updating the README, I'll do something like git branch update README, and I'll just check out that branch, and I'll start to work on that feature or bug, whatever it is. All right, and let's say that, you know, I've had my lunch, I'm feeling very happy, I got a lot of work done, and I actually finished my README task. Well, in that case, I will actually submit a PR or a pull request, which we've seen in previous videos, where I'll do the classic git add command, then git commit, then I'll be git pushing up to GitHub all my changes. And then what we usually tend to do is if we go back to GitHub, we'll have people that like yourself or other team members that see that, oh, there's a couple of pull requests, let's review a pull request. So that is code that maybe yourself or others have done. And I see over here that I have a nice little person who came and refactored our background generator. So we would view the file changes, and we see here that they have fixed a bunch of our background scripts to include the new ES6 syntax, which is very, very nice. We review everything. If we want to comment, that's great. But you know what? These changes look really good. So I'm going to say approve, do the @ sign, and thank you for these changes. It looks great. Merging now. So I've submitted my review. And everything looks good. If there's any issues, then I can let them know that we need a couple more things fixed, but everything looks good here. Some companies will pass it off to something called QA that does quality analysis, essentially making sure that the changes that we've implemented doesn't affect our web app. It still works on the phone. It still works on all the browsers, and making sure that our features or our bugs are fixed. So that usually happens, and if everything passes, then woohoo, our PR gets approved by our team. The QA says, yep, everything looks good. You're happy with what you've done and your PR, and then you can finally merge into master. And when that's done, we go back to the Trello board, and we can just say that update README is done. The team knows that you're all good to go. And it all starts back up the next day, where you get in, make sure that there's nothing outstanding to do. You go to the meeting, you look through the to-dos, grab a piece of feature or bug that needs working on, and you start working on it. And I know it doesn't sound very exciting from the way that I'm describing it right now, but it is a ton of fun. Whether you're building a product yourself or you're the only owner, you still are using these techniques to just keep yourself accountable and making sure that tasks are getting done. Because being a web developer is all about breaking up big tasks like building Netflix into small, manageable chunks. And each day, you're just working one chunk at a time to write some JavaScript, maybe some CSS, maybe some HTML to build this one great big product. And that's it. That's a typical day of a web developer. I know it's always good to know what you're getting yourself into, some of the tools that companies use, and some of the workflows. So hopefully, this video was useful to you. I'll see you in the next one.